What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. On this episode, I got Eric Yorba, one of my great friends, ex-professional off-road racer, and now he's transitioning into hunting. So I've been taking him hunting a couple times, and we're just gonna chit chat about what it's like to race all over the world and what it's like to hunt with me. So if you guys like it, please let me know in the comments, and we'll bring more to you soon.
So hold me till the dawn, never let me go on and on. Been dreaming for so long. Said we'll make them all come true. Now our story's just about to be told. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. We can start right here. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. This is the
Recording in progress.
Oh, leave meeting. I'm out of here.
What's up, man?
Yeah, not much. Just hanging out, chilling.
You work today? Not to talk about work, but
Yeah, yeah, easy day. Went in, worked what, from 4 to 1, 4:30
really?
to 1.
Nice.
Yeah,
4:30 in the morning? That's what time I left for work.
yeah. Well, I was gonna start at 4, but my boy texted me like right as I like woke up and was getting ready to change. She's like 4:30. I was like, okay, I'm already committed. I was like, I'm already about to walk out. So
Yeah.
screw it. I'll just wait for him there.
Well, that's sweet. Hey, so I got you on the podcast. Tell me so obviously I have you because like I'm trying to get interesting people and with your background in racing and such. Just talk about that. Like tell me how like you got into it because I remember like I kind of know like how you started, but not like the whole story because we're usually talking about adult stuff. But like I seen like pictures of you just posted one racing with Colton. I didn't even know you guys raced together back in the day. So hey, kind of tell me how you started like back in like I think it's like in Mexico, but go ahead. Tell me how you started.
Like from the get-go, like the beginning, full life story.
Like not the full, like just kind of say like
The transition.
the transition to where you're like, I'm gonna do this full time.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I started riding super young. I started riding when I was 5. Started racing when I was 5, and it was just one of those things that like when I was a kid, I just saw dirt bikes and or a quad or a truck or going to Baja with my dad when I was a kid, and I would just go nuts, you know, like I was just that typical like just motor enthusiast when I was a kid. And so I mean, yeah, my parents ended up getting me a dirt bike, and it just was something that like, oh, it's something that I kind of wanted to do, you know. And then obviously I started racing, and then it just exploded from there. It just turned into like an addiction, like not only just for me, but for my family, you know? So it was just racing all the time, you know, just traveling, going to camping on the weekends. And yeah, as a kid, I hit the motocross scene pretty hard. Um, I mean, yeah, there was one year where I think we raced probably like 47 weekends out of the year, you
Gee.
know? And but so I mean, I always, you know, was racing moto, and then as I got older and I got onto big bikes, I went and did my first like GP race. I went and did the Glen Helen Works race in 2009, and yeah, it was fun. It was like something different, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I knew that the following year I was going to hop on to 250s, and it was one of those things that me and my dad were like, hey, you know, let's go do a couple of these longer races. I mean, the works races are longer than what you were already experiencing racing moto. And so we're like, oh, we'll build up some endurance, build up some strength, you know, and then we'll hit like the motocross stuff hard the following year. And so I did my first full year of off-road stuff in 2010, and it took me a little bit to kind of get used to it. I mean, I felt like I had some speed, and I was doing okay, but I was going full hero to zero. Like I was either winning or I was crashing. It was just, it was all over the place. But I mean, as I got the hang of it a little bit more, then I started realizing, you know, like I'm doing pretty okay with this kind of stuff, you know. Um, and to be honest, I knew I wasn't going to be like the greatest thing ever, like racing motocross. I was like, you know, if I could do it and I can make it and just be able to go and race, cool,
Like
you
track.
know. But I didn't. Yeah, but I mean, I was realistic with it. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be the greatest thing that ever lived, you know. And with the off-road stuff, I was like, you know, I'm having, you know, some decent success with this stuff, and I was enjoying it a lot more. The vibe of just off-road racing in general is just a lot more laid back. It's not as like cutthroat, so to speak. And you know, so I just really liked it and was like, you know what? Why don't we just keep doing this instead? And yeah, it just kind of took off from there. And I mean, I then was able to keep racing some more, and keep progressing. You know, I started off as an intermediate racer in the off-road stuff, and then, you know, I went into the expert class, and then eventually made it into like the Pro 2, the Pro Am class, and then eventually ended up, yeah, racing professionally, doing some off-road stuff. And yeah, so like that picture that you saw, that was actually 2014. That was my first professional win at the Big Six race out of Glen Helen.
Oh yeah.
Mutter had like a crazy battle with Gary Sutherland. He was just chasing me down all day, and I mean, it was fun. That was one of those races where I was like, you know, the track really wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be, and you know, I just felt good all day. And that kind of, I think, was what kind of solidified a little bit of my professional racing career. The year before that, I'd won the 450A, the expert class, and the Pro Am title. And so it's like, you know, okay, let's move on to the next step. And that was kind of the first thing that I was really able to make happen for me. But yeah, I mean, truth be told, I feel like I had quite a bit more success in the off-road stuff than I really expected to. Um, and you know, racing and competing aside, it's just fun being at the races, hanging out with everybody, the people that you meet, the places you get to go, and just the experiences, everything. It's something that, you know, I'll definitely cherish forever. And yeah, a lot of great memories that I made for sure.
Yeah, what was like your favorite place? Because like I seen you were like at ISDE. Like which one was it that you went? You went to a couple.
Yeah, so four. I went to Slovakia in 2015, Spain 2016, France 2017,
Dang.
and then Chile in 2018. Um, yeah, it's that event's probably the coolest thing that, you know, a lot of people will not really get to experience. And it's something that, I mean, if you race, and even at the club levels, at just the people that are just going and doing it, it's it's so rad. It's so awesome, you know, to be able to get to travel to another country and, you know, not only just experience another culture, but get to ride in some new places. And um yeah, just, you know, get to meet people from all over the world. And it's a rad event, and it's been cool to be able to go to some cool places and travel the world a little bit to go race.
Yeah, I know you had like a team and everything, but like were the logistics like a pain in the butt with all them stuff, or did they like just kind of handle it?
Um, yes and no. Um, I mean, myself going and racing for Team Mexico, um, they weren't really inclined to, let's say, like, for the US program, they have like these containers,
Oh yeah.
they get the conic boxes and then put bikes in crates and just ship everything. Whereas, um, the Mexico program's a little more laid back. And so, fortunately, yeah, the KTM and Husky guys, and I mean other brands as well, they have a lot of like a bike rental,
Oh,
fly and ride program kind of
yeah.
thing, where you just show up and they just bring out brand new bikes, and so you kind of tweak them a little bit just to get them, as close to what you feel like you want or what you're comfortable with, but. So, I mean, the logistics of that really wasn't that bad. It was just trying to take as much stuff that you can cram into like your gear bags to
Yeah.
take with you on the plane to be able to get all your stuff dialed in. I mean, I was ratchet strapping my forks down and bringing them with me, throwing them in the bottom of
Oh
my
yeah,
gear
I've
bag.
seen that before. That's crazy.
So, I mean, I was just trying to take everything that I could just to really get it to where I needed it to be. And um, yeah, so other than that, logistics wise, it wasn't that bad. And then, yeah, just obviously your travel going, staying out there, a little over 2 weeks. You get there before the race, and I mean, you can't pre-ride the course. So the parts of the days that actually count for your time, you can go walk all of those. You can walk all the tests, and get familiar with those, and really start to try to memorize, each one as best as you can, and just really dial in and have everything kind of in the back of your mind. Every time that you're going through, you're just kind of going straight off of memory or what you can see in front of you. And
Hopefully, yeah.
yeah, so we put in probably anywhere from like 60 to 80 miles of hiking in a week before the race, and then you go and race for 6 days.
People don't see
Um,
that.
yeah, I mean, and granted, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily feel like they really need to do that. I mean, you don't, but a lot of the guys that are taking it serious, the Team USA guys and a lot of the other countries, yeah, they're putting in the miles, they're putting in their time, they're walking multiple times, and just trying to get everything and prepare as much as you can. And yeah, if you're trying to take it serious, yeah, you just need to do the most possible to really prepare and, you know, give yourself every effort to try and succeed and do well.
Yeah, I feel like that's like if your competition's out there walking, you can't be sitting at the you'd be like, well, I gotta be out there too, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to be
Can't let them
sitting,
get like a
finding a cool little restaurant just to kind of hang out. And yeah, it's like you get what you reap what you put in. And um, yeah, obviously the more prepared you can be, the better things generally will go. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that can really be out of your control, but for the most part, yeah, if you can put in the time and put in the work, more often than not, it'll pay off.
did you like that more or do you like the Baja stuff more? Like
Um, they're both unique, kind of in their own way. Um, you know, with ISDE, yeah, it's cool. You get to go and travel a little bit more. You get to experience some different cultures, meet a bunch of other people too. And it's 6 days of racing, and then obviously you have to prep beforehand. And Baja is kind of similar in that aspect. Is in the fact that you're going down and you pre-ride. You actually get to pre-ride, so you're putting in the miles, you're riding, you're doing your section, and you're really trying to get yourself prepared for the race, and start picking up little things here and there, and knowing when you can push, where you can't, yes, no. um but the experience of Baja is just completely different, knowing that like you're a lot of times you're in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing and nobody around you, um and then next thing you know, then there's a big old group of people, and you're like, oh, where did they come from? The fans, the people that are just so into Baja and off-road racing, and everybody down there in Mexico. It's unreal, and I mean, it's crazy to think that, yeah, when I was a kid, that was me waking up with my dad at like 3 in the morning and
uh
leaving the house and going down there and finding a spot and just picking, hey, this is where we're going to camp, this is where we're going to watch, and we're going to watch everybody go by till the last one goes by, and then all right, we'll go home. And so to be able to experience that as a kid, and then later down the road be able to compete and race at the highest level. I mean, it definitely was one of those things that's like this is what got me into racing, you know.
Yeah, when I did like some amateur races out here, like Ridgecrest and stuff, and it was like the last one I did that I did pretty well in, it was a loop race, right? But every time I got back by the pits, I would always put on a little bit more just because like you go from in the middle of the desert with nobody and then you see people and you're like, I gotta like pep it up. Is
Yeah,
that
hey, I got to look good right here.
yeah, right?
There's a lot that people don't get to see, but when they do, yeah,
Yeah.
I got to make sure that I give them a little bit of a show. And that's what's kind of crazy about racing down in Baja is like it's gotten better, a lot better over the years, but beforehand, I mean, there was just so much that was so unknown with like the people that were there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the fans and the people that go and watch the races are super rad, but there's also, you know, the sad end of the sport is that
Yeah.
people the booby traps, they'll go and they'll make some stuff to either try to put on a spectacle, whether it's a jump or a crash, you know, or anything like that. So me, I always kind of had a little bit of that mindset of like when I saw people, I kind of like didn't back it down too much, but I was just a little more cautious, a little more weary of like, hey, there could be something versus a lot of other people are like, oh no, there's people, yeah, I got to put on the show. Whereas like, hey, try not to throw it away here because you don't know what's up there.
Do you ever have any like close calls where you're like, oh, booby trap?
Um, I think maybe just like a couple little makeshift ramps, like they just piled up some dirt and
Oh
it
yeah.
wasn't that bad. It was enough to where like I saw it and you know, I checked up and I mean I was able to kind of get over it and do what I needed to do. I had one guy throw a beer at me, like my
Oh,
first,
what?
like probably my second Baja I
That
ever
was me,
did.
dog. Just kidding. Okay. I've never been, but
Yeah, I had one guy throw a beer at me, and I like kind of just like so he threw it like straight towards me instead of like trying to get me as I went by him. So like I saw it coming at me, and I kind of dodged it, and then went and I like checked up, and then went over, kind of roosted him a little bit. But yeah, that was probably one of my wilder ones. I was like, what? I was like, there's no way that just happened,
probably a
you know?
Honda guy, huh?
I don't know.
No, you can't say Honda. You just
Yeah,
got that commercial.
yeah, some drunk Mexicans out there just having a good time where yeah, that was just not the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so I was asking you about the like the flights and stuff because I was talking to our mutual friend Kyle Redmond earlier, and he's traveling with his two kids to Hawaii right now. He's just
Oh,
giving me so
I'm
much
praying
info, and
for
I'm
him.
like,
That poor soul. One, those kids are crazy, and two, yeah, that's not a short flight to be confined with
and he got a
two.
and he had a layover too. I'm like, golly.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so he's been sending me all kinds of info. Just he's like, it's a bloodbath over here.
He's like, what? He's like, what did I sign up for? What did?
Yeah, so I'm like, hey, at least you'll be there for 7 days, and you'll forget about it by the time you have to fly back. You know?
Yeah, but then when you got to fly back, then you're like, oh, great, I got to deal with this again.
Yeah, that's cool. So you have it after you race, you kind of stop riding a little bit, huh? Because I see you're like focused on other stuff. Do you think like you just kind of got burnt out, or you just kind of focused that stuff into like, obviously we've been hunting a little bit, so you think you're just transitioning your passions into
You
something
mean
else?
hiking?
Yeah, we're hiking with
Yeah, we're hiking. You
equipment.
know, we've been eating a lot of tag soup lately, and
Dude, I know if your
there's
wife's downstairs,
not.
she's laughing right now.
Oh, she's in Havasu right now.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
having
that's right.
fun.
Yeah.
But oh, when she hears this, she's gonna say, "Yeah, yeah, you're a hiker. You ain't a hunter. You know, till you bring home some meat, then maybe we'll talk. But right now, yeah, I don't hear the end of it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm over here like, oh, maybe I just got to shoot like a squirrel or like go do some rabbit hunting, bring something, you know, enough to where like, hey, look, I did it, you know, we can cool it with the hiker, you know, but no, I gotta make sure I put something down and um get that thing all hung up right there on the wall. Probably throw it in between the jerseys. She's not
If
gonna be too stoked, but hey, you know,
if she lets you, dude.
maybe if she has something right there kind of staring at her, she can be like, okay, maybe I'll cool it with the hiker.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like my ex-girlfriends were always like the biggest haters. They'd be like, my most recent ex-girlfriend, she'd be like, why would you go spend 7 days out there not shoot anything when you could have spent it with me? And I'm like, because I gotta be there to get it to happen, you know. So like girls are like
Yeah,
the
you
biggest
gotta at
haters.
least try, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, it's funny. They're always hating on us. It's like we're out there like you didn't see, we're not like Elmer Fudd just walking around and going to drink beer, which like sounds cool, but we're out there freaking 10 miles a day and then we're just getting this hate, you know, like we're just hikers. Come
Yeah,
on.
I'm grinding out there. I'm putting
Yeah.
in some work, and you know, it's hot, it's miserable, but you know, I'm just trying to make it happen. And you know, fortunately, I still haven't yet. It's been a rough couple years, but it's
Yeah.
right. You know, one of these days we'll make it happen.
Well, yeah, you only went once last year, dude. I'm like, I'm starting to tell people I'm like, he's my old hunting buddy.
Oh, my old hunting
I feel
buddy?
like you
Yeah.
retired out of that after like you did moto, dude.
Yeah, dude, my pride was shaken after that last year, you know. But no, it's just yeah, just been a lot going on. And um like you said, just with you know the racing things kind of slowing down and just trying to move on to this next chapter of life. And yeah, I mean, if I got some time to go do some hunting, sweet, you know, whether it's hunting or if I go down to Baja and I'm going down and doing some fishing down in Mexico,
Oh yeah.
which yeah, I'll be down there in like a month, you know, so I'm excited for that. That should be fun. At least there I have a little more success for the most part, rather than my hunting career, how that's been going lately. And but yeah, you know, either way, it's still fun just being out there. And I mean, even if you don't catch anything, you know, just down where we go down to Mexico and go and do some fishing, it's fun. It's a blast, you know, regardless of whether you're out on the boat fishing or just back with everybody and have a solid group of people with you and just having some fun. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's really all about, you know, going and having a trip with some friends and just having a good time.
Yeah, well, that's funny because when we get back to camp, you go to bed. So feel like you don't want to hang out with me
Well,
or what?
dude, you know, I'm over here grinding because I haven't made anything happen just yet. So it's like we're out there putting in some work. So it's like
Yeah.
I just need to go lay down, sulk in my misery a little bit, and then just try to regroup, get back on that horse the following day, and just you know, we still haven't made it happen, but you know, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, when I mean, we put in miles, so we're doing 10, 12 miles. So like I get it, like just kind of get back and just rest, you know, because they're gonna do it again the next day. So
Yeah, it's hot. It's rough, you
yeah.
know. And I mean, it's not flat. So we're dying. We're sweating.
Dude, but I got you on a stock last year. I thought you were gonna show up for like another weekend or two, and you're like, nope, that was my one. I quit.
No, there
Nah,
was just a
you had
lot
some
that
other.
was going on for us, and yeah, it was just that was pretty much all I was able to make happen. And you know, at the end of the day, better than not at all, you
Nah,
know.
yeah,
So,
you get a stock. It's a lot of people
well,
can't
no,
even
I'm
do
just
that.
saying the one trip was better than not going at all.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. No, yeah,
But no, I mean it's been cool. It's definitely been a humbling experience, you know. Um, I mean, the first year, yeah, I think I had we'll call it like two and a half stocks.
oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
But I mean, that very first one, I was like, there's no way, like that it's just gonna really get you like going that bad. And I mean, with me with racing, like I was never really that kind of like a nervous wreck like on the starting lines. I would get a little bit of those pre-race jitters, but it was more like excitement. It wasn't like nerves.
yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of people that are, you know, the complete opposite. I mean, the wife included. Yeah, she's just a wreck before the races. But so I mean, I was always like pretty cool, calm, and collected. And I put on that first stock, and I got to probably within just inside like 90 yards from that deer. And it's like it was just in kind of this little valley, and it was just pretty flat, you know, wide open. There was, I mean, I could have tried army crawling and got a little closer. Don't think it would have happened either way. But I mean, still, I'm just like, oh, well, I mean, he looked a lot closer than what I was expecting him to be.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I pulled out my rangefinder and I'm just trying to, you know, zap him and see how far exactly he was. Dude, my hand was shaking so bad. I couldn't even see him like through the sight glass of my rangefinder. I'm like, there's no way I'm even if I had the opportunity, I was like, there's no way I was gonna make this happen. I was like, I can't even see him. I'm just over here just shaking. And I was like, wow. I was like, there's no way that I just got that much, that much jumpier from staring at an animal thinking, hey, I got to pull out my bow and, draw back and try to shoot this thing versus, hey, I just got to go race my dirt bike. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was always fun. It was always, that adrenaline rush that all of us really enjoyed. But still, it was just the fact that it was something new, like that. And it was just way gnarlier than I was expecting it to be. And so, I mean, yeah. And then a couple days later, there was a
No, that was the
there
same.
was
I thought
there
that.
was those two Forker horns that were hanging out, and I went and I put a stock on them, and I mean, there's so much of just shoulda, coulda, woulda when it comes to hunting, and especially when things don't go your way. But I mean, again, it was just cool to like really put in that effort and say, hey, all right, here's the game plan. They're right here. I got to come down this mountain, come over to this rock, peek over. In theory, they should be laying right there. And so I made my way all the way out there and I get to the rock and I get to where I know that they should be. And I take that little peek and I'm like, where'd they go? And in the span of, you know, maybe 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes at most, they moved maybe 30, 40 feet to another bush behind another rock. And so I'm like, what do I do now? And I'm just like, all right, well, here goes nothing, and I take like one step more and then yeah, sure enough, my shadow just comes over that little rock and then they just come hopping on over, just chugging along. And I'm like, great, there went that. And then one of them, he did end up stopping probably about like 50 yards from me, 40 yards. But there's just a tree in my way. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I can kind of duck down. I was trying to find a little gap. I'm like, no, I'm going to take this guy's kneecaps off. I was like, I ain't part of the mafia here, you know? And so I'm like, all right, well, he took off. And then the next one goes, stops in the exact same spot. I'm like, you got to be
Oh,
kidding
yeah.
me. I'm like, out of everywhere that it could stop, it's going to stop perfectly in the same spot. And, they take off. And I'm over there trying to figure out, okay, maybe they went this way. Try to find them, spotted them again, and then caught them under this other tree that they were both hanging out at. Started making my way over there, and then sure enough, here comes, good old public land hunting.
Oh,
There's these
yeah.
two guys. There's these two guys that they're just mad. They're mad at each other, mad at
Yeah, it
life,
was so
mad at the
funny.
world. They're just yelling at each other. And as soon as I'm like finally trying to figure out my gap, this window, because I have one buck that's like behind a tree, and I could just see his butt. He's broadside, but it's just his butt. And I'm like, okay, where's the other one? What can I do? And then this guy's just yelling, trotting down the mountain.
And
And
I'm
I'm
sitting
like,
there like, I'm waving at
yeah,
him like,
I'm like,
go
you
that
gotta
way,
be kidding me
go.
right now.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I finally hear these guys, then the other one, one's here, just his butt behind the tree. Then the other one peeks forward, his head's right here. And I just see him just look at me and then look back up the hill at those guys and then look back at me and then just takes off. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
again, all these shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and
that's what
but
hunting is.
that's what keeps you coming back, because I mean, there's always, so many things that can go wrong or could go right, and you just really never know. And I mean, yeah, it just hasn't gone right yet.
Yeah, that was crazy because the first time you stalked those bucks, I was watching from that hill and I could see them and I'm like, they look so close when you're that far. I was probably 1,000 yards behind you just watching them. And then long story short, you scared them up to the top. And I was like, I don't think they came out. So you went up there, kind of got them, bumped them back towards me, and they were 150 yards from me. And I just watched you stalk in, and that guy was coming. I'm stopping him. Finally, he seen me and left, but he was so close. They were like having like a full blown like relationship argument.
Yeah,
He's like,
like
I
an
want to
old
go that
married
way.
couple.
I want to go that way. And they just both split up. And I'm like, dude, like you could when I heard them yelling at each other, I was 500 yards from them and I could just hear them. Like I made out what they were saying. They were so mad. I'm like, God, you guys should not be out here. Go home, recollect. And I'm like, kind of a bummer because it was a weird deal. But hey, at least you got some stocks. I mean, a lot of people don't
Yeah,
even.
it's been some good experience, a lot of learning. And yeah, last year probably one of my solid lessons that I learned the hard way is you don't give up on a hunt until you're standing at your truck.
Oh yeah. So,
Because I mean, I put in a okay stock. There was just a lot of things that just were
it was
not right.
tough. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
ooh,
in a weird spot, the wind wasn't right. I'm like, well,
wide open.
it's wide open, and I'm like, I mean, it's probably not going to work out, but if I don't do anything, then it's really not going to work out. It's one of those, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I at least got to go give it an effort. And this was like way more solid buck compared to the other three that I put the stock on.
Yeah, it's a
And
good one. Yeah.
yeah, and so, but same thing. I'm like, there's just no entry, at least that I could think of like a solid game plan of what I needed to do. And yeah, I got to okay distance, but same thing, had another tree in my way. There's not a lot of trees in the desert, but I seem to find every one, and they're just perfectly in my way, in between me and a deer. I don't know what it is, but dude, it's unreal. But so same thing. I'm like, oh, well, do I like just try to scoot over and wrap around? Yeah, sure enough,
Yeah.
takes off. And we kind of had an okay game plan of like, hey, he went this way. There's a lot of big rocks we're going to be walking by, little crevices, canyons, whatever you want to call them, that he could be in from our way from here to the truck. Um, you know, let's just kind of take it easy, and we find them. If not, whatever. So we're making our way back, and I'm probably 100 yards, maybe a tiny bit more from the truck. See the truck, see camp, and I'm like, I get to this dirt road that's right there in front of us, in between me and the vehicles in our camp, and I'm like, all right, well, it's right there. All right, call it a night. Sure enough, I just have something just jump, probably like 10 feet away from me, just scared the crap out of me. And sure enough, there was that buck hanging out, bedded under a tree, 100 yards from our camp. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, you know? And so, yeah, that was just one of those things that, yeah, I learned you don't give up till it's over. It ain't
Yeah.
over till that lady sings.
Yeah, I kind of passed on that buck, I was kind of like, like it's kind of not what I'm looking for. So had you go stalk him, and then as soon as he stood up and took off running, I'm like, oh man, like he was pretty good.
What was that? What did I just do?
I was like, he's pretty good. So I actually kind of looped around to see if I could maybe like kind of still hunted it out, but you bumped him again. What happened at the campfire that day? You remember?
Oh, yeah. Hey, we decide, we're going to do a little bit of cooking and hang out at the campfire. And as soon as we get back, there's just a rattler just hanging out right in the rocks right there on the little fire pit. I'm just like, okay, nope. This ain't happening right now. And then the following day, same thing. On our way back, I'm getting yelled at, and you're just over here like, why, what do you need your flashlight for? I'm like, dude, we just almost stepped on a snake at our camp. I'm like, there's no way I'm about to do that out here. And then sure enough, probably about 2 minutes later, almost step on one right there. I'm like, yeah, the only reason I saw it was because I had my flashlight. And you're like, why are you scaring everything? I'm like, no, I'm scared right now. I'm like, I'm scared of these snakes.
No, that's in the evening. I don't care about the evening, but like sometimes in the morning, I'm like, I could see the sun, and you're still just with the freaking headlamp. Just that's funny. That TikTok I posted, like I think you've seen it, but like people were like, he's actually really smart because there's like snakes, and I was like, yeah, I know, I'm just kidding, guys. Like freaking people on TikTok are so like,
yeah, thanks TikTok. TikTok's got my back.
Yeah, they do. They had your back. Like I thought they were gonna fight me for you, Hey, what's the major transition between like moto and like hunting? Like, what do you think? Because like that's what I did too. Like 10 years ago, I would always be riding every weekend, like after work, I'd ride. And then once I kind of got into hunting, it's like hunt, 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 So I transferred over kind of like you did, like as hobbies. Like I wasn't professional anything, you know. Like I like to say I'm a professional deer
Oh,
hunter.
you're
I'm
not a
on a
professional
streak. I'm on a
athlete?
dry streak. So
You're not a professional athlete?
I was a professional athlete for a while, but it's been tough out there, man. I'm 2 years dry, you know. But this year is looking pretty good.
This
So
year's gonna be the year. Yeah. Well, no, I think just it's just a whole different thing, you know. On a motorcycle, there's just so many things that are happening so quick, so fast, and you just really need to adapt, um, and just kind of go on the fly. And it's kind of a little bit similar with that as far as hunting, but it's just a lot slower paced. I mean, you're gonna put in some work, you're gonna be putting in some miles,
yeah,
um, but just it's a lot of sitting, a lot of looking, a lot of searching,
yeah.
and
It's
then in
kind
the
of
off chance you find something cool, all right, let's come with a game plan, Whereas, I mean, a lot of times with racing, there's not really a time to come up with a game plan. It's just kind of make it up as you go, and it's gonna happen right then because it's gonna happen.
yeah,
But no, it's one of those things that like I've always been super interested in it. Ever since I was a kid, just never really had the chance to. I was just always super busy with racing, and then the racing stuff kind of slowed down, and it was finally one of those things that it was like, hey, this I have some time. I want to make it happen, and I made it happen, and um yeah, it's been an awesome, new hobby, a very humbling hobby for sure. But you get that itch for sure. And it's just like, and especially if you need to go and, bring some credit back to your name in your own house,
yeah.
to try to get the title of a hunter instead of a hiker, it keeps you coming back for more because it's like, I need to come home with some meat for sure.
Yeah, but out of like all the people I've taken hunting, like which is very minimal, like I prefer to hunt by myself, you know. But we've been boys for
Why is that?
it's just like, dude, this people are just too much sometimes. Like my uncle's getting helicoptered, freaking just there's always just something, you know. Like I like to just it's my getaway type, like throw
You don't
someone
have to deal with
in.
other people's problems.
Yeah, it's like pros and a
You're doing your own
schedule and
thing.
this. And so I kind of just I'm gonna go hunt here by myself. If somebody wants to join me at camp, go ahead. But like other than that, like I'm by myself, you know.
Do your thing.
But yeah, it's where was I going with that? Anyways, it's oh, so out of all the people I take, which is like probably three, you've always been like the closest guy behind me, and I feel like that's just from like being an actual pro athlete that you know, the hiking's nothing, you know.
Yeah, no, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't really get with racing is you really do put in a lot of work. Um, there's a lot more that goes into it, and it takes a lot more than what a lot of people really think. And yeah, so to be able to go put in some miles and put in some hiking and really get after it, it's not, I don't know if the right word I'm looking for. It's not necessarily hard. Like it's not going to be as taxing as it can be to other people. Um, but with weather and there's a lot of things that really go into it too. But yeah, it's definitely been good that I was able to put my athleticism to use with that versus just coming straight off the couch and not really doing anything.
Yeah. Well, you need to start shooting your bow because it's like 50
Dude,
something.
I shot my bow. God, I don't
I
even.
know.
I'm trying to think when, like 2 months ago, maybe month ago. It was rough. It was
Hey,
rough.
what do you got going on this weekend? Not this, but like the fifth, sixth, seventh.
It's my dad's birthday. I really don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I might come
Uh,
down Friday. Because I got to go to Right to Bear, your hat right there, and pick up that gun. So
Local plug, baby.
yeah, I might come down Friday after work and grab that gun. So if you want to go shoot the Olympic Training Center or something, or go to the desert by your house, that's close somewhere.
Yeah, we'll figure something
Go to
out.
Matt's house or something.
Yeah, we can figure something out because I definitely need to go start getting some reps in.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too long because I want to do this all the time with you. I just want to keep chatting like multiple episodes, and I want to like get all your content out of there because you
Yeah,
know
you can't,
until
you
hunting
can't.
season we ain't got much to talk about, you know. So, Let's
No, I definitely gotta turn this around and give you guys some better stories.
yeah, we need some kill
We need
shot.
some fresh content.
Yeah, so sprain your ankle or something. We need something good, you know.
Easy with the injuries, dog. We don't need to be
It's a
putting that
sprained
out in this
ankle.
universe.
The sprained ankle, dude. It's fine. But all right, man. Well, yeah, it's nice talking to you always. I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
we don't
thanks
talk
for
to each
having me.
other. It's not like we don't talk to each other all day. But
I mean, I
the
it gets
most
rough
amount of
sometimes.
Instagram memes from this guy ever.
Hey, I'm just trying to waste a little more of your day every day.
I get an Instagram notification. I'm like, oh, cute girl. Oh, another Instagram meme from Eric.
Hey,
Also,
man.
yeah, you're my side chick. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon, and then hopefully I'll see you Friday. But I'll let you know on that schedule.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks
All
for
right,
having
man.
me.
Talk to you soon.